Hi, I'm Rashonda. I'm the creator of this YouTube channel as well as the artbyro.com website where you can find over 250 additional art and drawing tutorials. In today's lesson, I'm going to be showing you how to draw a graffiti letter D. This is pretty easy, so beginners can join along, and hopefully you will feel inspired to do some of your own artwork. So let's go ahead and head on over to the art studio and get started on the drawing. Today I'm going to be drawing a graffiti letter D. This is going to be sort of a boxy style with mostly sharp corners and straight lines, but we'll give it a little bit of character to it. So we're going to start by drawing some guides. So our letter's going to go kind of like that. But we're going to give it a little extra, sort of a flair, I guess you would call it. So we're going to use these as our guidelines, and then we're just going to start adding in some extra little details. And think about how your lines curve to make it more interesting. So over here, instead of having this come straight down, we can angle it a little bit, and that'll give it a little bit extra character there. And then we're going to come down this way. We'll do the same thing down here. And then this line over here, we're just going to make straight. And then angle this one a little bit. And you can play around with the letter and draw it out, make some changes. You can cut some little angles out if you want. So I'm actually going to bring this down a little further. I think we want this to come down and then come out. Make the letter, overall letter, a little bit longer. And then come up here. And then this is gonna, we'll come down like that, make a little cutout, kind of similar to what we did over here. And these things, they don't seem like it's a lot, but it does make a difference in how interesting the letter is, because you don't want your letters to be boring. And I'm not trying to get it too crazy. I don't really do anything like a wild style type lettering. That's not something I've ever really been too interested in. But you could definitely get real crazy with your letters and changing the readability of them a little bit. But I think that's pretty good. And then a lot of these pencil lines will get erased after the next step, which is going to be to outline it. And then we can go over it with one of these big erasers and clean it up a little bit. So that is going to be the next step, is going to be to add an outline. And I'm using this pen that I found. I've not used it before, so I'm going to give it a try. I kind of like it came with a cheap set of markers, and I've never used it. I actually never really noticed, but it has a thin point and then it has a wider end. So I checked it out and it doesn't seem to bleed with the markers. So I'm going to give this a try. Some of my art supplies just came with other things, like that black eraser that I showed you. That came with one of those cheap hobby store drawing kits that someone had gotten me for a gift for Christmas or my birthday or something. Same thing with the marker set that this pen came in. My boss picked up a set of markers from a hobby store, and I don't really use them because they're not the greatest quality. I don't care for them a whole lot. And this just happened to be in there. I never paid much attention to it, like I said, and just felt like, why not give it a try and see how it works. The biggest thing with the outlining pens or markers or whatever you choose to use is that you don't want the alcohol in the colored markers to make it bleed or run, but they can be kind of finicky sometimes with that. I've had pens, outlining pens that I've used hundreds of times, literally been using them for years without any issues, and then one time they just randomly seem to want to bleed with the colors. And then the next time be just fine again. So I'm not sure what causes that. It can be a little frustrating, but so we'll just clean this up. And then we're going to add some color. I'm going to use blue for the inside of the letter and then orange for the outside. So what I have is 3 blue markers. And what I want to do is I have this lighter color blue. I'm going to fill the inside in with that. And then I'm going to use the middle blue, the middle value, and add in some darker areas just to make it a little more interesting. So when I think about when I'm creating my drawings, and making art is just a series of decisions. They're not necessarily right or wrong, just different. Maybe the decisions you make turn out the way you wanted and you like the way it looks, or sometimes you don't, but it's really just a series of decisions. So you want to, my goal is always to try to make my drawings look a little bit more interesting. And also I need to point out that creating art, or just art in general, is very much just a matter of opinion. One person can like something, the next person doesn't. And it doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It's just one person likes it, one person doesn't like it. So for me, my goal is just to try to make it a little bit more interesting to look at. So then I'm going to go back in with this lighter blue and kind of scrub this edge a little bit and try to soften it up. Sometimes you don't always have the exact colors that you need. So we'll just try to blend that out a little bit. So I'm going to do the same thing here. and just add some areas with this blue, and then use the lighter blue. Soften that up a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and speed this up a little bit, and I'll be back with you when I have the blue done. So I got that done, and ideally I would have liked to have had a better blue, a better light blue in there, but I did want to show you that sometimes you just have to make it work with the supplies that you have available to you. Markers can get pretty expensive because you do have to have quite a few of each color. So I did want to show that sometimes you have to compromise a little bit, and your colors might not be perfect. So we kind of make do. I like them to be blended a little bit better than that, but you gotta work with what you have, and sometimes it doesn't come out exactly right, but we can just do the best we can, and hopefully it looks pretty good. So now I'm going to just add in some little extra details. Again, just thinking about what I can do to make it look a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to add in the background, and I'm going to add some color around the edge, kind of this halo effect, and then add in the background. And I'm going to go ahead and do a time lapse for that because it's going to be pretty boring and a lot of just the same techniques that I've already shown you. So I'll be back when I have the background done. have everything filled in. I went ahead and did the entire background. And then the last thing that I want to do is to add some white highlights with the Jelly Roll pen. And what I did for the background was I tried to vary where this darker area was. I didn't like too much when they lined up, so I varied them a little bit. That's something that you could change up and do a little bit differently. Maybe you would want yours to line up with each other. Now I'm just going to add just a few areas of white just to break up this color a little bit. And I could probably add some, like maybe down here, just the contrast with the orange. Again, we're just making decisions and they're not necessarily right or wrong. You do something and maybe you like it, maybe you don't. We all have our different opinions of what looks good and what doesn't. But I'm going to go ahead and call this one finished. I hope you enjoyed the video and hopefully you feel inspired to make some of your own artwork, and I will see you next time. Happy creating! Well, that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and hopefully you feel inspired to make some of your own artwork. If you did enjoy the video, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want to get notified of future videos. Before you leave though, check out that description box. There's a freebie in there to a graffiti drawing guide for beginners to help you get started. And I will see you next time. Bye!